And this will be interesting. Big old snapper cross. I couldn't figure out what that was. Neither could my dog. Fortunately, I got a dog that listens actually pretty good about this stuff. In fact, a lot of dogs would just go running. He thinks about it first, which is wise because they don't call them snappers for nothing. Good morning, Brian Whitaker with BKW Horsemanship LLC at Whitts and Ranch. Got here at the end of the driveway with DEE. Get out before it gets too oppressive today. Been pretty hot and humid, so we get out here in the morning and get some stuff done, and then I'll get out with the horses in the evening. All the other chores in between. So we got the new hackamore on. And this will be interesting. Big old snapper cross. I couldn't figure out what that was. Neither could my dog. Fortunately, I got a dog that listens actually pretty good about this stuff. In fact, a lot of dogs would just go running. He thinks about it first, which is wise because they don't call them snappers for nothing. So there's so much dew this morning. You can see where we headed out on a trail. She was a little unsure, so you can see a little bit of a serpentine pattern there. That's on purpose. I don't know if you can see this line here. But we got our new hackamore, or new Bosal, I should say, because this complete thing is a hackamore, and the only thing new is the Bosal, which is actually the Bosal, and they call it a hanger. And we'll take a look at that here in a little bit. Now, she's like, wait a minute, what the heck was that? And I'll give them that a little bit. They are a thinking, feeling, breathing, emotional animal. It's okay that they have these things. It's just what they do with it. And if you completely make them do what you want or tighten up, you will throw gas on fire. And we don't want that. We want this to slowly dissipate, and we want her to listen. So just do little things, pick up here and there. Every once in a while, I may let her stop. It just kind of all depends. I know there's some people that believe you should just, well, there's all kinds of things what they believe. Now, there's a big drop off there. You can't see it, so I made sure she was not leaning on me there, meaning she was kind of dropping to the right. A little bit of what I mean maybe by sellout, just a little bit. I wouldn't call that a sellout. That's more of a getting ready to exit, which, hey, that's why they survived all these years on instinct and quick reflexes and bolting, fight or flight. So I just let them, as long as we're moving their feet. Now, when they stop like that, sure, they're not moving their feet, but mentally, they're sort of taking it in. Now, there's a limit to that, and that just sort of comes with each horse is different. Some horse, if you get after them right away, oh, they're going to move. Oh, you're going to wish they didn't move. But if you have to let them build some trust in you. You got to get some trust in them, but really more importantly, they're the ones that their feet are touching the ground. A little rabbit over there, all kinds of little wildlife this morning. So that could have been a fight. See, right there. Now she moved a little. I didn't even have to pick up a rein. If she would have kept moving, I would have just said, no, we got to just support her right side and say, let's not drop out there, because, you know, there's other things to be concerned about too. The thing that you might think is going to hurt you in there, well, eventually you are going to get in trouble over there. So, but we are so far away from that. And I like to think that because of how I allowed her to be there when she was concerned about things, had she put a little more faith in me that, okay, you're not going to let us get in trouble either. And if I just do one little thing, you're not going to overreact to it, which happens so much. You know, it's a bit like a car in the wintertime, hit a little patch of ice, start sliding to the right. Human nature is to crank on the wheel, hit the brake, and turn left. And then a lot of times what that'll do is kind of slingshot you that way. So we try not to, as people, overreact, overcompensate. And right now this is about as good a ride as one can hope for, really. And these are the moments and these are the spaces that I think about and look for, even when things aren't going so well. I just think of the little fixes I have to do. Just only do as much as needed, no more, and then release. That doesn't mean maybe, half a second later, you might have to pick up and do it again. But you allow that half a second, 2 seconds. And then times like this, minutes. Really, we've talked about it before, but I went all the way down this road, which is pretty close to half-mile road, and then out to the hayfield. So we're working on about mile 3 or 4, and I've probably picked up on her less than a mile, if that makes sense total. So a quarter of the time, and even that's a lot, am I actually asking her to do things. Now there's times where I'm picking up on her a little more. At first she was a little unsure about, she hasn't been down that road a lot. She says, I don't know about this. So if she'd circle back, I'd just bring her hindquarters around. And meaning, if she wanted to circle left, I wouldn't just pick up on that right rein and pull her back. That's a pretty bad habit we get in. If she circled to the left going back home, I'd just pick up on that left rein and say that's a good idea. Now, as we do that, let's get that hindquarters. Now here too, in an easy way, now I'm going to keep her out of here because there's a culvert. I always remember now, here's a little tip. See them tufts of grass that are thick and then all of a sudden it's not? Well, if you're around our country like this, they cut the ditches for hay. So always know they avoided that area, so you avoid it. That doesn't mean if it's a bunch of tall grass, it's just all of a sudden if you see something like that, and you know what, most of the times like this horse, she's suspicious of those areas too. They should be, so allow them to move their feet sometimes. So there, for example, she trotted off, and she's just wanting to go down here. I have no problem with this. In fact, this is usually a scary spot. She wants to check it out, see that? In a good way. Now the reason I let her trot is because going away here towards the east, away from home, she didn't really want to, a little unsure, and then all of a sudden she'd kind of trot. Now she didn't it wasn't like here again. Now here I'm gonna actually pick up a little more and say, okay, that's fine, just go up the hill though. You could trot, but go up the hill. And she goes, oh, maybe not. Trotting isn't bad. I was wanting that forward movement, going away from home, and at times she'd give it to me in a trot, and as long as it wasn't building, like a snowball going downhill, I'd allow her to trot, because I like a horse that'll move out. Of course, you want a horse that's responsive. There's a bunch of tree swallows up there. Started out with barn swallows, and now we've got a bunch of tree swallows around, which is pretty cool. They eat lots of bugs. Very active this morning. So I don't just immediately kill that trot. No, don't trot home. That's bad. I've been told that's bad to run home. Sure, it's not good. But maybe you can use that forward motion for something else. Maybe you just slowly bend them back the other way. And like this, she's just got a nice, happy, easygoing walk. And then all of a sudden she said, hey, let's go for a trot. Sometimes the bugs are bad, so I'll allow them to trot off a little bit. Like here, she almost did there. I would say the one thing that I try to work with her is getting her to move out a little bit. So if she's willing to move out, even if it's a little more on her terms, I'm going to roll with it. And a lot of what I do is sort of not too far, lean forward, start petting the mane so that my seat doesn't get back like here. Okay, my seat doesn't get out of position now. She's going to want to go towards her buddies here. They came up out of the pasture. That's great. Well, you know what? While we're here, why don't you go over this log that seems to be strategically placed? Hey, whoops, that's pretty good. She had to think about her feet. See, that's what we're looking for. Think about those feet where you're planting them, because they get kind of rubbery legged And all of a sudden you feel like, boy, these legs don't feel very secure underneath her when they're thinking about other things. And that is absolutely true. So when she could, not so much the slowing down, but the thinking about it, get control of those feet. Think about where you're putting your feet. And so that's why it's kind of good within reason. You got to be smart about it, is go up and down a ditch, or go around this, or go through the serpentines, or, go over a log, or things like this. And, I never try to get off in the same spot very often. It's not, see here, sidetrack here. I don't know if you can see these spider webs. And in the mornings are really here, more over here. When the sun hits them in the morning, because all the dew, that is really good. And if you spray, you won't get those. So that means you won't have colonies of thousands and millions probably of little bug killers, ruthless bug killers on your side. I want spiders on my side, especially out here in the grasses and the pastures. It's the same thing. And man, they trap, how many millions of bugs here. Speaking of bugs, they're a little bit, they're not really bitey this morning, but they just kind of hover. So just a little thoughts on my ride. We had a super good ride, went out to the hayfield. That's a little further than we ventured for a while. And, it started out a little rough. There was a spot there as I got to the end of the driveway, there's a cornfield, and all of a sudden she was very concerned about something. And we just kept easy working at it. She got elevated, and the more elevated she got, the more calm I tried to get. Now, if she got elevated, scared, and I got elevated, look out. And that's a thing you really have to teach yourself. It's not necessarily, at least for me, there's a nice yawn. I've noticed she's been doing more licking and chewing with this Bosal, but the whole hackamore, so that's a good sign. In fact, get off and show you this little setup with my wet dog. Yeah, darn flies, huh? So it's still not quite fit right. In fact, we'll go inside.